All right, heck yeah, it's cool. Black guy. That's one of my buddies. We had fun. We carved watermelons together. It was awesome.
No, I'm not a racist.
They're taking black jobs now.
The whole country's going to be like, it'll be like Detroit.
A lot of it's about the genes, isn't it? Don't you believe? They're poisoning the blood of our country.
Maybe hate is what we need. Our words spoken by Donald Trump at the end of this blistering video, released by NBA superstar LeBron James in his 11th hour endorsement of Kamala Harris for president. What you've just seen is just the first half of the video, and the rest, which we will show you in a moment, gets even more intense. In a post to his King James Instagram page and X account, LeBron included the caption, quote, "What are we even talking about here? When I think about my kids and my family and how they will grow up, the choice is clear to me. Vote Kamala Harris." The video that you just saw included news reporting that David Duke, former Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan, supporting Trump, as well as Trump's racist rhetoric towards migrants and black people. This video was shared with James' 159 million IG followers and 53 million on X. Here now is the rest of the video.
Troublemaker. These are troublemakers. Look, I love the old days, you know? Do you know what they used to do to guys like that when they were in a place like this? They'd be carried out on a stretcher, folks. Like to punch him in the face, I'll tell you. Now, if you had one really violent day, like one rough hour, and I mean real rough, the word will get out and it will end immediately. But we're going to indemnify police officers and law enforcement from being destroyed by the radical left. You're changing history, you're changing culture.
Of course I hate these people. And let's all hate these people because maybe hate is what we need.
I prefer presidents who don't endorse the purge, let alone overt, horrible racism and unleash such disgusting, vile bigotry in our country. But, you know, that's just my opinion. You can decide at the polls on your own. The basketball star joins other NBA icons, including Golden State Warriors coach Steve Kerr and guard Stephen Curry, who've endorsed Harris for president. Both Curry and Kerr spoke at the Democratic National Convention over the summer. The dedicated athletes for Harris cohort has several big names, among them Mel Blount, Marv Levy, Willie Rofe, Magic Johnson, Billie Jean King, Ali Krieger, Candace Parker, Thomas Booker, and Chris Paul. Basketball icon Magic Johnson endorsed Harris as well, saying, "I have known Vice President Harris for over 25 years, and you can count on her to deliver on what she says she's going to do. She'll be a president for all people, no matter the race, language, sexual orientation, or party line. She showed all of us and showed the world that she was ready to be president, how smart she is, and her plan for the country in that debate." And there was, of course, one more famous athlete turned movie star turned governor that also endorsed Harris this week. That is former Republican governor, current Republican still, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Again, you make your own choices.
Yeah, so another basketball personality that definitely does not like Trump is Popovich. He's the coach of the Spurs, legendary coach. He had this great 13-minute rant the other day where the reason I loved it is because he said one of the things that I say that I don't see a lot of other people talking about. He's like, he's just a big spoiled rich baby, right? He always got everything he wanted, and so whenever he doesn't get anything he wants, he cries, and that's who he is. He lost all his dad's money. He's just pathetic in that way, and that's why he has that giant entitlement complex, and he has an old way of thinking from back in those days. Look, guys, I don't think that everyone who supports Donald Trump is racist, not at all. Okay, so we've got folks who hate the establishment, and since they feel the establishment is against Donald Trump, that's part of the reason that they support him. I understand that. Having said that, if you think that there are no racists that support Donald Trump, come on, guys. Now, we can have a debate about what percentage of his voters are in that camp, and you could say anything you want about reverse race and blah, blah, blah. But which side are the racists going on is not unclear. Okay, now, you say, hey, listen, man, I got nothing to do with them. I'm not, and I empathize with that because I was a Republican earlier in my life, And people would say, how about Strom Thurmond? And said, it turns out they were right. But still, I was in a camp and I wasn't a Republican in New Jersey voting for Tom Kaine because I like Strom Thurmond. So I understand. But I also knew and acknowledged, I get it. Yeah, the racists are in this party and it sucks and I hate it. And I hope that that's the reaction you have. It sucks and I hate it, right? But you could put all of that aside. The bottom line is, has Donald Trump been divisive and hateful? If you think he hasn't, you're on a different planet. I mean, he constantly attacks groups of people. He doesn't attack individuals. He says, all the immigrants coming in, rapists, criminals, maybe there's some good people, right? And then every once in a while he covers his ass by in the middle of this long rant against immigrants, yeah, I just mean the criminals, wink. And then when he's talking about Haitians, he didn't say the criminals, he said they're all eating cats and dogs. Well, that drives hatred towards Haitians. Just yesterday, Rudy Giuliani said the Haitians just came out of the jungle. Is this complicated? Can I call that one racist? Or are people gonna get hurt feelings over that one too? So, and it's not just Latinos. He says Central Park 5 should be executed. Turns out they were innocent. He's like, I don't care, they probably did something anyway. Come on. And we have 100 examples, and you saw some of that in LeBron's thing. Look, for me, the celebrities, it's nice because they drive out more voters, and I'm glad that they're doing that. Does it affect me at all? No, I know what's going on in politics better than LeBron James or a tennis star or a golfer, right? I don't need them to tell me who to vote for. But for people who don't pay a lot of attention to politics, just putting that in a stark way, at least is a reminder of who Donald Trump really is.
Exactly, it reminds people, and in the last week run up to the election, a reminder sometimes is an important thing. The othering of people is a key part of a Trump strategy. He's othered the immigrants. He has, dined out on the mass deportation since he's gotten into this race, and he clearly views the othering of people as an effective political tool. And so whenever you get into that, at the base of it is a sort of racism and a white nationalism, I'd suggest in this case. It's super disturbing, but more disturbing than his rhetoric is how popular his rhetoric has become. And sadly, if you look at his rallies, I think it's sort of reflected in those who show up to them.
And he almost can't help himself, guys. He does it in every instance. So he uses Palestinian as a slur. He's like, Chuck Schumer turned into a Palestinian, right? And then he'll turn around and he'll go to a bunch of Jewish Republican business leaders. This was a while back, but he's now done it like half a dozen times. And in that particular case, he said, no one likes to renegotiate more than this room. Why? Like, it's just like an obvious anti-Semitic trope, right? Then he says, you guys should all be supporting me because I'm the best on Israel. Do a loyalty, right? And then he says, you ought to have your head examined if you're Jewish and you don't vote for me. Because everything to him is racial groups, not, hey, Bob is interested in this and Sally's interested in that. No, the Jews want this, the Palestinians are that way, the Latinos are this, the black people are, I mean, he's almost Archie Bunker, but like not a fun one, like a hateful,
not
like
lovable.
In charge one.
Not as
right?
lovable. And also in fairness to Trump, he also said that if you're black and don't vote for him, you should get your head examined. So he's using that term equally. Mark, you said that it's an effective political tool, and I think that's the best way to describe Trump. He's an effective political tool, and he always has been. But I understand, because I've been from an alarming number of people that's really made me nervous about this election. From an alarming number of people, I've heard people that are formerly Democrats saying they're voting Trump this time, a lot of them. And I understand the grievances people have. I understand that the counter argument people make to how against our democracy Trump is that the Democratic Party kind of forced Biden on us and then forced Kamala on us and hid these things, and that is true. But there is still a degree of scale. There is still a degree of closeness to normalcy that I think matters in this world and matters in this nation. And The elections aren't the end of your chance to advocate and to create the change you want. How far do you want to have to push from somebody who is loyal to no one but himself and who gets a compliment from a dictator and all of a sudden his loyalties are flipped? Or do you want someone who generally you know where they stand on issues, and on the issues where you disagree with them, where you may disagree with Harris, you can advocate, you can push her towards that. She's somebody who actually listens to people and actually would want to get reelected and actually would be responsive to movements of people pushing her one way or another on an issue. You don't get that with Donald Trump. You get a guy who is openly racist. You get a guy who is openly advocating time and again for us to ignore our norms, to ignore our democracy, and just institute king-like power in a man who has just been granted much of that by the Supreme Court. It's a bridge, not just too far, it's a road you can't turn back from once you get there. So
I'd also say that his impulsive nature will lead to the kind of chaos that we all saw in the first 4 years. And there were a lot of people who were institutionalists around him in the first 4 years. The next 4 years ain't going to be that way. It'll be a bunch of loyalists, acolytes around Trump, and his impulsive nature will create a chaos. And by the way, even before you get to that, all of the stuff we've been talking about, the election denial and the plans to overturn and declare victory and not certify, the kind of election chaos creates chaos in the markets. It will create a huge unfriendly business environment here in this country. Investors like stability, and that's one of the reasons this economy has done so well. We have the most stable politics in the world. So all of that is in play right now as more and more turmoil surrounds this guy.
Well, it's not like who Trump plans to put in charge of gutting government programs just actually admitted publicly that it will probably tumble the markets. Wait, I'm sorry, I'm being told that I'm wrong. That is exactly what he said.
Yeah. I'm gonna add one last thing. You know how we asked you guys to keep it real if you're a Republican? So did you hear what Ben said in the middle of this segment? He said, yeah, it's true that the Democratic Party has done things wrong. See, that's not so hard, right? You could be honest and still say, hey, but I got bigger problems with that guy, right? And for the last 20 years on this show, we've been asking the Democratic Party to do better. It wasn't because we hated them. It's because if you don't do better, it gets to a point where people go, I know Donald Trump is hateful and racist, but I'm considering him. I know he tried to overturn the results of an election, but I'm considering him because I'm worried about the other party. You correct things and you fight back because you care, not because you're trying to destroy. We're always trying to be constructive on this show. So this election is in a couple of days. And that's the reality, and that's the truth we want to share with you guys. Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you got to do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.